Hello, Karu. Today is the 9th of September, and I want to make a quick video just to see how things are going. I was thinking the other day. Well, let me start off with this. Played some pickleball on Sunday. Sarah and I played with Kendricks and had a good time. It was actually quite fun. It was low key, not super competitive, but good enough to be fun. So I really enjoyed that, and have not been swimming. I've been futzing around dealing with computer issues, unfortunately. I don't know, I think I may have told you this, but I started making a series of videos for Sarah's YouTube channel that are trips to Wales that are kind of, I'm calling them Taking Mom to Wales. And I've made 3 of those, but I bought a new computer in late August, and it was high end for doing video editing. Spent a lot of money on it, and it started being a little unstable. I started initially it would, and I've got a lot of peripherals plugged into it. I've got a video editing device. I've got a docking station that plugs into the monitor and hooks up to a few other things as well. And it started getting unstable, and it would the video would crap out on me if I was doing multiple things at once, and I'd lose the remote, the external monitor, and I'd have to reboot it. I would get a bunch of latency, and initially I'm thinking, oh, this is just one of those broader support things. And then I was working out, and I just had the laptop sitting on the exercise machine. I was watching a video, and it crapped out. I had to reboot it, and it came back up, and I started watching the video again, and it did it again. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. So then, and I know calling tech support is just a nightmare because the reality is that 90% of the easy fixes I know how to fix myself. And so most of the time when I call tech support, it's when something's going on that is more complicated. And at that point, the first level tier tech support, it's just a waste of time. They'll take me through a bunch of stuff that I know isn't going to work and isn't going to help. And so I was putting it off. And yesterday, I went through and I checked all my drivers. I updated all the drivers. I updated the Windows drivers. I went to the Dell website, updated the drivers on Dell. I updated my BIOS. And initially, it solved a couple of problems. I had a couple of recurring problems that I was able to trigger, and it solved those problems. But then the video editing software quit working. So Premiere Pro I would open it and it would crash as soon as I did anything. And so finally I called tech support, and I was like, oh man. And so I called Dell tech support, and initially they route you to a routing operator, and the person answers the phone, which is nice. You get a phone tree first, and I have to give them a 9-digit number identifying the computer. And I give them that number, and then I say I need technical support. And they take me somewhere else, and I have to give the number again, second time. And then it routes me to a routing operator. And he asked me, and he says, okay, I can't route you directly to technical support, but I can give you a direct number to call. I'm like, okay. So he gives me, but I also gave him the number for the computer. And he says, oh, it's this computer. And I'm like, yes. So I've now given this number 3 times, this 9-digit number. And he says, I can't route you, but here's a direct number to tech support. I say, okay. I go dial this other, and it's a different 800 number than the first one I called. I dial it, and it takes me through the exact same process takes me to a routing guide, so I have to give the number 3 more times. And I said to the guy, I said, the second routing operator, I said, I just talked to a routing operator. I said, are you going to be able to send me directly to tech support, or I'm going to have the same problem? He said, no, I can send you directly to tech support. So by now, I'm literally 10 minutes into this now, and I'm just getting to talk to tech support. And so call tech support. I'm on hold for 20 minutes. Then he says, I'm sending you to a tech support person here in the United States. And a woman picks up with a thick Indian accent, East Indian, and which, I don't have a problem. Anybody who's competent, I'm happy to talk to. But she says, hi, how may I help you? And I said, I need tech support. And there's this long pause. And then I said, do you have the information about my computer? I've already given it to a couple different people. She said, I don't seem to have that. Can you give it to me? I'm just like, oh my God. And so I give her the information. And then she says, can you describe what's happening? And I'm like, well, it's this intermittent problem that happens multiple times. It doesn't always present the same way, and so I run through it, and then she says, can you tell me that again? So I run through the whole thing again, and she says, can I put you on hold? I'm like, okay. She puts me on hold. By now I've been on the phone for half an hour. Well, I've been on the phone with these people for half an hour. After, it took me 10 minutes to get, to this point. And so I'm sitting there, and then I lose, the phone, I lose the connection. I lose the call. The call drops. And I went to Sarah and I was like, I'm returning this computer. I just don't have the patience. Well, and we're going back to Wales in 2 weeks, and I need a computer that works, and I'm not going to take this one. And I've had it for 3 weeks now, so I'm closing in on the window for when I can return it. And the amount of money we paid for it, I'm just like, and not the computer that I use now, the small laptop, but I had a large desktop kind of replacement computer that I've been using had it over 5 years. And I got it from Dell, and I had all kinds of problems with it. They sent a technician down from the Tri-Cities to work on it, and I knew, a couple months in, that it had a problem with the power supply. And I told the tech support guy that, and I explained why it had to be the power supply. It was happening before the BIOS booted up in some cases, and it was intermittent, and they kept on sending me new parts. They sent me, we did all this software updates. They had me wipe the machine and rebuild it 2 or 3 times, I think. They sent a technician down from the Tri-Cities 2 or 3 times, and the poor guy, he was actually quite competent. And I explained to him, and he was like, yeah, I can't, I have to do what I'm told. I can't just, and I said, I said to him, I hope it works, but I don't think it will. And he was like, yeah, I kind of agree with you. And so finally, on his 3rd trip down here, and we had the same problem over and over again. And so he called his boss, and his boss said he just needs to send it in. So then I sent it, and this happened over months. And so then I sent it in, and they replaced it. They gave me a refurbished one that has worked great ever since then. But that was like almost 2 years into having the computer. It was, like I said, it was months and months of problems. And like I said, it was intermittent, so I would travel, I would make do with it, and then I'd try to get it fixed while it was still under warranty, and then they extended the warranty because of the problems and the new parts. Anyway, And I was just like, I'm not doing that again. I'm not going to go through that again. I just don't have the time and energy for it. I'm sending this computer back. When we get back from Wales, I'll try to find a replacement. But I'm not. I just can't deal with that. I don't know if I'll ever buy another Dell, to be honest. So, anyway, sorry for the rant. I know this is not a particularly interesting video, but I hope you're doing well. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.